All right, another week, another rally. Why isn't this market going down? All this bad news is coming out. Nothing seems to be good. We don't have any vaccine for the coronavirus. The economy's still shut down. So why is the market rallying? Well, for me, I don't pay attention to the news at all. I don't really care. I don't give a shit what the news says. I just focus on the charts and what the profile is really telling us. That doesn't mean the market is not going to fall again. We probably do need some kind of pullback, but that's not what it looks like here. So let's talk about what happened last week. If you watch my previous video, I talked about if we're gonna get some sellers to come back in this market, now is the time, and that was last week. Fast forward to the end of this past week, there was no sellers. They didn't come into the market again. So without further ado, let's get into the charts and see what happened last week. Because last week we still didn't get any selling. The market kept going up, and Friday we took out the highs from Tuesday. So Tuesday we put in a high around, let me zoom this down, you can't see the bottom. So Tuesday's high was put in, that was the swing high of the week, 28.46, right? Came back down off of that level for a couple days, and we built some balance here into on the 15th and the 16th, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday we had this huge gap up, or was it? Yeah, Friday we had this huge gap up. And something to take note of on Friday's session, this gap was never filled. So when the gap's not filled, you kind of just got to go with the gap. And most people will say, oh, but the gap was filled. Look at this. No, this is not the gap. Market profile users, we look for the previous day's range high. That is the gap. So the gap was really all the way down at 27.97. And we saw right when the market closed, even before Globex at 6 p.m., we had a little rally. Right when the market closed, we had a little rally. Then Donald Trump came on and was talking around 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night, right? And this gap held all night and even into the next session. So when the gap doesn't get filled, it's kind of like what doesn't happen is more important than what does. So what didn't happen on Friday, that gap was never filled, and you could have easily gotten tricked and sold into the hole. But let's talk about how I went about trading Friday's session. So when we have a big gap, I like to look for an inventory correction coming into the open. So we had like 100-point gap coming into Friday morning, right? And market was pretty flat overnight, just chopping around. And then coming into New York Stock Exchange open around 9:30 a.m., that's when I like to look for that correction move of the overnight inventory. So the people that hold these overnight positions, they're kind of weak hands. They're not, the real big long-term, higher time frame buyers or sellers, if you will. It's more like retail holding overnight trades and stuff. So coming into the session with a big gap up, I look for a correction to the downside. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. If it was real selling, though, we would have filled that gap right at 27.97.5. But that didn't happen. Sellers were really non-existent again. This was just a correction of the overnight move. And I was getting shorts once we held, or right at the open, I took a small one. Then it bounced back up, trailed me out. And really what I was looking for was acceptance into a previous day's value. It was an older day's value, but still plays some importance, not too much since it's an older day. So what I was looking for was Tuesday's value area, okay? So early in the session on Tuesday, we came down, we got that overnight inventory correction, and we came right inside Tuesday's value. This is Tuesday's value on the side, right? This top line is the value area high. Bottom line is the value area low. So when you get, when you have price come back into value, kind of the rule with market profile is, all right, if we're accepting back into value, we should see this down at the value area low as a target for shorts, right? So that looked like it was happening. We got some acceptance into Tuesday's value, but it kind of stopped right at the point of control. These sellers were not able to break it below the point of control. That was the first indicator saying that, all right, this ain't no real selling. This is just, still a correction of the overnight inventory. Since that gap was so damn big, the selling looked like it was real selling, but you can't confuse that with the overnight inventory correction. Once you do, then you start selling into the hole, and they just messed people up all day long. But even this was another right off the bat, A and B period, the first hour of the day, we had a poor high put in. When you have a poor high, this is a poor high right here. So you see how A and B has no excess, right? If we look at the prior day, there's single prints at the highs. That's excess, okay? When you don't get that, more times than not, the market has to come up and repair that poor high. That's just how market profiles, that's a data point right there for us. So early in the session, these shorts were kind of trapped because we had that poor high at 28.54. So, all right, we have that, but the market still sold off a bit. So it was like, all right, maybe we won't repair the whole poor high today, but it was looking really likely later in the session that it was setting up for one of those rip your face up rallies right through that poor high, which it happened. But let's talk about what else developed during the session. So we kind of had a B profile, right? When we have a B profile, that tells me that sellers or buyers are absorbing all the selling down here. So buyers are big buyers. They're absorbing all of this inventory down here. So they're getting long at these lows, and sellers aren't able to drive it down even lower. So when we have a B profile, that's what that tells me. Buyers are absorbing all the orders down there, and people that were selling into the hole got crushed. And if we look, we saw that K period. So later in the day, around 2:30, K period came down to retest that point of control again, hit it to the T, and then boom, spiked back up. This was the final indication for me that this was getting ready for one of those stop runs into the end of the day and potentially repair that poor high at the end of the day. That's exactly what happened, and market profile helped me not sell into this hole. And that was just a crazy end of the day stop run right there. So when I say stop runs, I can see that H period. This is kind of where people were selling, right? 28.45. Then we had I period open lower. That was 28.43. And then J period right here, that was 28.39. So when K period made that low, wasn't able to get below the point of control, I went long. So I went long, and I was just looking for these stops to get run into the end of the day. That's what they like doing nowadays. And really during M period, Lady M, she's crazy. That's what a couple of my market profile trader friends and colleagues call M period, Lady M. She gets a little rowdy sometimes. And she really got rowdy on Friday and just blew through those stops. Blew right through them, and everyone who was shorting all day thinking that this was going to collapse, thinking that there was real selling, they all got screwed on literally the last, the last like hour, 2 hours of the day. But yeah, I took a long, literally at the lows, 27, and covered up here into the poor high. That was my target, because I knew that if they're going to run these stops, that poor high looks very juicy, and I wanted to take some part in that trade. And they did. They repaired the poor high. This was a data point given to us in the first hour of the day, and they waited all day to do their magic or their scheme, whatever the ghouls are doing. This is all, this is how they work the markets. They just act like they're doing one thing, and then boom, before you could blink, they do another thing. But the profile really helped me dissect what was going on and see what the story was unfolding for that day, for Friday. But yeah, the sellers weren't able to break below the point of control from Tuesday, and they weren't able to fill that gap. So those were two very big indicators that this market ain't going down. So that doesn't mean it might not go down, a couple days ahead or in the near future. But for that session alone, that's how I was looking at it. I was not getting short down here thinking it was going to keep going because it wasn't able to break that point of control, 28.23. It wasn't even able to get to a previous day's value area low, 28.14 from Tuesday. So when you have, that was a day where, like what I said before, what doesn't happen is more important than what does. And that was definitely the case for the ES on Friday. So what are we going to do for next week? Let's take a look at the overall bigger picture chart that I keep pulling up. We're still getting a bounce off of this trend line from these 2018 lows. This trend line, I drew it from March 2009. Seems like it's been holding. And we're getting a nice bounce. We're kind of like 50% or even higher now off of those lows. I don't really use Fibonacci, but we could pull it up. We can pull that up. Where the hell is that Fibonacci tool? Here it is. Fibonacci retracement. Draw from the high to the low, and we could see that we're a little above the 50%. So there was no sellers that came in at the 50% retracement at 27.58, and that is just from the all-time highs to this low that was put in on that last sell-off, down to 2100. So we don't have any sellers that came in at the 50%. We're now testing the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. So we'll see again this week. If we don't get any more sellers, I don't know. It's just going to keep going up. I don't really look at the news. I suggest you don't look at the news either. It's just going to affect your trading. Like, there's so many people bearish on this market right now, and they're just getting crushed. They're getting crushed because they're basing their trades off of the news, and the market really don't give a fuck about the news. That's what I've been experiencing, at least. So I just go with the charts. I go day by day. Obviously the market is freaking bearish because of all this shit going on. The economy's closed. But if you look at the charts, they're telling you that, hey, maybe it priced all of it in already. I don't know. Like, sometimes we get great earnings and the stocks still go down. Why is that? Maybe it was already priced in days before. So that's kind of my mindset about these markets right now. I don't give a shit about the news. I actually hate the news. I wish I could block all the coronavirus news articles from my phone that keep popping up, because I really do just hate it with the passion. So, it fucks up a lot of traders. They get too sucked into the news, and it makes them make these bad decisions. Not even bad decisions, just like they're making them based off of only the news. Just focus on the chart, and that's what's going to keep you alive in these markets, and not bury yourself into a bigger position than you can handle and end up taking lots of drawdown because you're focused on the news too much. So I like to stick to the charts. But yeah, if we don't get any selling coming in soon, I don't know. This market is just going to go back to all-time highs. That's what it looks like, at least. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. So we just got to react to what's going on day by day. But yeah, this market is bananas. And these daily trading ranges are offering lots of opportunity. So if we look at these profiles, we still just left a gap there, which I don't really like. We should come back and retest that before the market goes higher. But if we look back in December, November, January, when this market was rallying, this is how it was acting. It was leaving gaps left and right. And that's why we got such a massive sell-off on that last run, because there were so many gaps that were left on the profile from December and November when the market was rallying. So this is the overall. These are the overall profiles, TPOs day by day. So we could see that we got some value. We're pretty much breaking above all these recent values, right? So the next real area of balance I see is right here from 30.55 to like 29. We'll just call it 2900. 2900 into here we go. So like above here, you can see all these value areas over here. I don't even have to merge them together. I could kind of just see where value's at. But we could see like 2900 in that general zone is the next area. If we accept into there, this thing might want back over 3,000 if we don't get any real sellers. And there was none of that. Last week, there was really none of that. Something I like to look at on the day-to-day, intraday, is the internals. So this is something I learned by Shadow Trader. He's another market profile guy. Very, very smart, intelligent dude who also uses market profile, and he uses this indicator on VOLD. So you just type in VOLD on Thinkorswim or wherever, and you could go to his website and have a little, he's got this little breath bubble. So that says 7-to-1 positive, right? That means there's a lot of buying, all right? When this thing goes red, that means it's negative and there's some selling. This thing really didn't go negative, only on Wednesday really, but it wasn't even that deep. I mean, it was like negative 14-to-1, but the market really didn't sell off too much on that bad breath. So that was even more of an indicator like, all right, these sellers are really freaking weak. And yeah, this is just something I look at. This is called the internals. It's just the New York Stock Exchange up and down volume. And he's got this like ratio bubble. So as long as it's positive, that means there's no real selling going on. So if you see a little correction and the thing remains positive, the breath doesn't fall off a bit, there's not real selling going on. So that's what happened on Friday. This thing never went negative. It dropped down a bit, but it never really went red. So it stayed around like 3-to-1, 4-to-1, gave off a little bit on the sell-offs, but it came right back up. Ended the day 7-to-1. So that was also another thing I was looking at. Is the breath going to go negative once we came into that value of the previous day or near the point of control? Even when we were at the point of control, it was like 3-to-1 positive, 4-to-1 positive. So those are some things I look for on a daily basis. I use the profile. I use that volume indicator, VOLD, the internals, and everything was pointing up. Nothing was pointing that there were sellers in the market. So that's it. That's all I got for you. We could take a look at crude oil really quick because crude oil hit those. It's in the teens now. It's in the teens. If you followed me on my last videos, crude oil, the front month contract is in the teens. 17 it closed at, or around there. Where did this thing close? I gotta pull it up on this chart. 1731. We hit that level from 19 years ago, right? 19 years ago, 1712 was that low from November 01. So that's 19 years ago. We have the opportunity to buy crude oil for prices from 19 years ago. That's crazy. That's almost older than me. But yeah, if you look at it rolled over, so that's why we see, if we look at crude oil right here, it's 25.14. The contract rolled over. If we look at the front month, CLK 20, it's at 18 bucks, all right? So something I'm looking at to start buying into is going to be USL. This is a long-term crude oil fund, and they pretty much all they do is hold long-term crude oil futures contracts. So instead of buying the futures contract, if you don't have the capital and you don't want to put on the risk of holding the futures contract, then because it's a little more volatile, or then you can go with USL, or another one is DBO. same kind of thing, long-term crude oil contracts. If you want more of something that follows crude oil actively, like day by day, you go with USO. This thing is more short-term, so it follows crude oil on the daily basis. Not on a daily basis, just follows crude oil's short-term contracts. And then USL is the one I'm going to get, or USL and DBO, because they're the long-term crude oil futures holders. So once there's some demand coming back into the market, then we'll see these stocks go up. We'll see crude oil go back up. Once they really come to an agreement with Saudi, and they actually come back and agree that they're going to cut a lot more than they already did, then we'll see that spike back up in crude oil. But for now, they could cut all they want. There's still no demand, since everything's pretty much shut down still. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but now is the price that I would like to buy at for USL, probably around this $12 area. Probably around this 12, 11-ish area. Let's see where it opens up next week. Maybe around 10. We could get some more. DBO, like $5 to $6 range. Not bad. And then, yeah. So, yeah, crude oil hit that target that we were looking for into 17s. So, yeah, that was a video from like 3 weeks ago. I remained patient, and now here it is at the $17, $18 mark. It could go lower next week. Who knows? But I think now's the right time to buy some. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. For tonight, we'll see if we can hold this spike and this gap. So the gap being 27.97, and then the end of the day spike. We'll see if this holds. So if we hold above 28.69 tonight when the market opens up, it's Sunday 2 o'clock right now. If we hold this spike overnight tonight, then we're looking for some higher levels. 28.97, 28.97. Where is that close from? Oops. 28.97 is from, one sec, Friday, March 6th. So that's the close price from Friday the 6th. Is it? No, that is not. That's an overnight level, I believe. For the 6th close price is 29.21. So that's going to be the level up there. We got another one right here, 28.21. See if that level gets hit there. Let me draw a little horizontal ray. 28.21 would be the next level up there. And now we're already above that. What am I saying? 29.01. There we go. Point of control from... Just disregard that last 30 seconds. Point of control, we're already above 28.21. Friday the 6th, Friday, March 6th, point of control, 29.01 is going to be the next level of resistance. We'll get some resistance there, see if it holds. So once we actually accept into that range, so Friday the 6th of March, range low is 28.50s. We accept it into there. Once we accept into value, 28.80s, we should see this through the point of control up into 29.20s. So we'll see if that happens to start off the week. Maybe it'll happen tonight. I don't know. But what I'm looking for is this spike to hold. If it can, then it should put us up into those levels, 2900, 2920s early in the week. But we'll see if this spike holds. We left a bunch of single prints here on the profile. And usually the market will come back and backfill those before going back up. So we'll look for some support at 28.54. If we go lower than that, then it might want to fill that gap at 27.97. But those are some levels to watch for early in the week. And yeah, I'll keep you posted day by day. Try to do these review videos every day. This one's more of like a weekly outlook, kind of what happened last Friday type thing. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're staying safe. If you want access to my Discord chat room and my live streams, I trade live every morning. And I give out some futures trades, some forex trades, some options trades, stock trades, all on the live stream and in the chat room. If you want access to that, I'll put the link right down below. You could get in there and trade the markets with me and see how I go about things. You'll probably learn a lot of how I trade on those live streams. So if you want access to that, I'll put the link down below. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. Time for another fun week. Can't wait. And hope you guys are all staying safe and healthy. And thanks for watching the video. Click that subscribe button. Follow me. And drop a comment if you like these videos. I'll keep doing them. So, have a good week. Wish you guys the best. And till next time. Peace.